you feel that? Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with OMI is my homie episode 50. Coming out with my co-host Dr. Stuff and Crypto Rain. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello Dashi. Subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. As I was about to say before it was time to get this spread, is that I distinctly remember people. I don't know if they were actually like fudding and they were just anti-VeVe or anti-Akomi, but I remember people, maybe they were just super beside themselves and they were just saying like Disney is never going to let OMI like never going to let their product be bought with OMI. Like if they were going to do that, they do it with one of the other companies like that wasn't attached to a token that had a lawsuit in it. They would have done it with either Pinnacle or they would have done it with Cryptoys. Like they would never allow their stuff to be bought with OMI. I wish they would have taken my bets, but they did not. I wish I could have found those tweets. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I just trying to search Disney and never. It just didn't happen. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Really good, man. Really
good. I thought VeVe didn't care about OMI. I thought VeVe just forgot about OMI and was never going to do anything about OMI.
It's a redheaded stepchild.
Isn't that what so many people told me? I mean, enough people saying that, they must know what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's I don't like understand that, where the traction that some of these people get with like 50 followers and like no profile picture and like not, and just they don't have this any type of record of success whatsoever. And I'm not saying that they have any type of, a lot of these people have any type of record of losses. They're just new. But yeah, just a lot of like, what's that saying? Never underestimate the stupid people at large. Again, if you say things long enough, like there's a quote from Chronicles of Narnia, I think the second one, Prince Caspian, where the little girl's wondering why the bear isn't talking to her, and then the dwarf says like, "Get treated like a dumb animal long enough, that's what you become." And I feel like if you say something long enough, people start to believe it. Even some of the bulls have fallen kind of victim to that. But obviously now we have some. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, probably should have prefaced with this. VeVe had come out with an article today, and it was very nice of them to post it on their blog first before going to socials, so that they could let the influencers go in and kind of break the news. I thought that was very nice, and kind of give us a chance to like celebrate. I think it's more fun when they do it this way as well. And they said that on 28 April, they'll be able to go in and buy anything, any collectible we want with OMI.
Oh boy, my camera just decided to do weird stuff.
Yeah, you look like a Terrence and Phillip character from South Park.
I'm just gonna leave it like this.
I'm coming.
But yes, it was very nice. So let's however, like do we want to start off with the good stuff or like, I mean, what other points do fudders have now? Like, yeah, it news drop, but OMI only went up 4% today. What are we going to do with all of these gains? Are there any legitimate points of that the fudders can kind of cling on to? Maybe exchanges. Yeah, let's go.
Interoperability.
The last thing they're holding on to is the price is low, right? So they're like, when price go up, and a lot of it, the people that are fighting on it and have been fighting on, they're just new, not only to crypto, but most of them new to investments at large. And so they think that they're making like a new argument that's very, very informed. And from their standpoint, it seems like it. They just don't know business development cycles. They don't know the broader crypto like space and how things are going to play out. And so they're just wrong, and that's okay. The sad part about them being wrong is they do a good job at savaging people who are making the right moves that lose some hope, and they kind of like, well, what if these guys are right? Because to make a lot of money in crypto, you can't follow what your emotions are telling you to do. You'll do the opposite thing. You'll end up selling low after buying high. And so many people do that. And so there's some people that get that, but they're just new to this. And so when they hear people making those arguments over and over again, they're like, but what if they're right? And so they end up selling low rather than buying more while it's low. And then when it reverses really, really hard, they're like, dang, I knew it. But then it's just late. Sometimes they then buy high when it goes really high, and then they repeat the cycle over again. That maybe they don't sell when it's low again, and maybe they finally do buy when it's low again. But they missed a really good chance because so many people are saying what hits their like fear button and makes them sell when it's low that they think, what if they're right? They must be right. So many people are saying it. And they learned the hard way that those people were just new too, and they just had a loud voice and they didn't know what they're talking about. Like OMI's price of these prices is incredible. And people are like, yeah, but it's down so much. It's like, you're right. And if I had a magic crystal ball that I could see the future and I knew exactly where the bottom is, I would be worth so many billions already, but you don't have that. So sometimes you buy low and then it goes lower, and then you buy low and it goes even lower. And that's just what playing the bear market is in the crypto space. When it's then flipping the other way, you sell when it's high and then it goes higher. So you sell some more when it's high and then it goes higher. And you're like, crap, because you don't end up buying the bottom and you don't end up selling the top. But the swings are so massive that if you're generally dollar cost averaging in the bear market and you're selling during the bull market, you make incredible money, the kind of money you can't make anywhere else.
What are your thoughts, Doc, about the FUDers and what points they might still have?
I mean, from the OMI side of things, right? Exchanges, like, I mean, we were promised multiple exchanges, and look, we're on base, and I think, and we talked about this last week too, right? Like, if we can get the ability to purchase OMI with a credit card on Stacker, that's a big deal. It's not as big of a deal as getting like a Coinbase, like, I mean, a large U.S. exchange, but we're getting there. And I do think that at some point during the bull run, if OMI hits one of those narratives, there's going to be so much volume, transaction wise, that the ability either for the team to reach out and say, hey, let's get us listed, and it's going to be a lot cheaper, or they just rogue list them. And then interoperability on the VeVe side of things, right? Like, still not owning your own thing. But to me, that's never been a strong argument. Would I like it? Sure, I'd like it. But most people VeVe is targeting the mainstream. The mainstream people don't care. They're not going to get a crypto wallet. They don't want a crypto wallet. They don't care about crypto. Like, so many of my friends that I've talked to about crypto and like all this stuff, they don't care. Like, they just want ease. They want it to be easy. And VeVe makes things easy. Off the grid makes things easy. These are the things that are going to be adopted. Like, don't get me wrong. There's crypto whales out there with millions, tens of millions. There's hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars out in the crypto sphere right now, right? With whales that can be spent on this. And actually, the recent announcement, you've got Stella's, let's see, Stellar Spur said, what is the news? What came out about OMI that's so huge? It's a complete game changer. Well, you can buy on the 28th, you'll be able to buy Disney, Marvel, DC, all of this IP with crypto. That's the thing. Like, that's the big thing, is that people don't want to sell their crypto, send it to a bank, and then purchase with a credit card, right? So now people who are in the crypto sphere, if they want these, they'll have way easier access to it. So if there is a narrative that hits, honestly, not only could OMI pump, but VeVe could pump, right? Like, and that's the thing, is now, like, one can also cause the other to pump. Like that's just how it works. And so, it's big news, man. And the FUDers, the thing is what's happened is, at one point in time, these FUDers got burned with something, and it became an emotional argument. You'll never win against emotion. Doesn't matter how much logic. I mean, just like Bill said, right? It was like, oh, like, this is never coming to, no one cares, right? Like, they don't admit that they were wrong. Like, I mean, if you look over the last 4 years at all of the things that they just argued were never coming, we were never going to get fiat off ramp, right? We weren't ever going to be able to cash out. Like that was a huge thing. And then the VeVe was never coming. Like, I mean, the list honestly is so freaking long of all the things that they sat there and said, and they just changed their argument every time, right? And so those are the people that are out there in crypto that are, like, they're the loudest voices, and so many people end up listening to them. And it's like, why I kind of hitched my wagon to Crypto Rain is because he's done it. He's done it. And there are very few YouTubers out there, truly crypto YouTubers out there, who through their investments have made it big. Very few. And like, I try to find those people and I listen to them, right? I try to get those points of view. And I don't listen to the people. Okay, I love the people who are sitting there like laughing. They're like, oh, OMI so down, OMI so down, while they hold their mutant ape as their profile pic. And I can see how bad they're down on their mutant ape. I can legitimately look it up, right? And be like, well, you're down. Go ahead and tell me how you, like, you know everything and how smart you are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just laughable. No one gets it right all the time, right? Like, there's calls that everyone like, but I still love this idea of finding these companies that there's a strong use case for it. I think that digital collectibles is the future. I don't think the physicals are going away, but I think that is the next evolution. Like, okay, my daughter right now, I bought her this Gab watch, okay? So I can track where she's at and things, and I can text her, and she can call me. She can leave these sweet little voice messages and stuff. I love it. But one of the things that's on there is kind of like a Tamagotchi or whatever. Like, there's this little animal, and she is like, I love this thing so much. I love it. She's like kissing her little digital animal, you know, like wishing it good night and everything like that. Like, it's digital. She can't touch it. Like, it's on her watch, right? Like, but these generations, these younger generations, man, they grew up in a digital age, right? And they value digital stuff just as much as the physical stuff. And so, like, it's coming. And I think a lot of companies are starting to see that. So, so investing or looking at these companies and saying, okay, like, does their use case make sense? It absolutely makes sense. And then I look at the team. They continue to build even through all of the FUD, the lawsuits, all of this stuff. They are still here. They're still making money. And for me, like, those are the bets that I'm absolutely willing to take here. And we're starting to see this, right? So, yep, OMI's up 4%. And it's not big. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people right now in general who are very disinterested in the crypto markets. They have capitulated, right? Like, I mean, once Bitcoin dropped below like 80,000 or yeah, I think like, they were just like, oh my gosh, like, it's the bear market. I'm even seeing this in the VC chats, right? Where they're just like, this is the bear. This is the bear market. You know, I was like, I disagree. And, but yeah, there's so much capitulation there. But these are the times that, like, the people who hang in, right, if they are right about some of those tokens and then this bull market hits, it's going to rip. And by the time that those people even start hearing about it and then feel comfortable enough to buy in, they've already bought in after tokens have 5 or 6 or 10x, 20x, right? So their risk at buying back in is so much higher. So super stoked. It's a great day. It's really exciting to hear this news. Yeah, had a little pep in my step all day today. Just knowing about this is awesome.
It is really exciting. See, they're bringing it together, and a lot of people, you know, that are new to this, that are generally new, not brand new, but generally new. They're like, why isn't the OMI token going up yet? And it won't happen until Bitcoin. I mean, it could run up. It could go up double or triple, which meaningfully isn't up. That's not even a sell point for me. What I'm looking for is generally when a massive tide comes in. And so, like, the tide is still out. And so, like, if you're a surfer, you just don't try to surf when the tide's going out or the tide is out. You wait till the tide is coming in. And the tide isn't coming in yet. Like, Bitcoin, we're technically in the bull market. Like, Bitcoin bottomed out at like 14,000, and it's now significantly up from it. But a lot of these higher risk altcoins don't benefit till right near the end of the bull market. And it's about a 2-month period that goes absolutely parabolic. So I just look at the patterns of who's made massive money in crypto and how they did it. And what worked for me making massive money, and what worked for everyone else I know that became rich in crypto. Because the crazy thing is though crypto can be so profitable. I know people that have been in crypto for 8 years and they have no meaningful money from it. And you almost ask, how is that possible? And they're just doing it wrong. Generally, you're just trying to play this 4-year cycle. That during the bear market, you're looking for projects that are working hard, where your team is still working. I like things that have their token vesting, like a lot of their tokens are already vested, and their price is really down because it's a bear market, and maybe a lot of people are capitulating and giving up on them. But they have something functional that really makes sense with crypto. So digital collectibles really make sense for me. I think digital collectibles in many ways are superior to physical collectibles, and that a lot of the collectors are going to move to some or all their holdings being in digital collectibles in the near future. And so VeVe is perfectly well positioned for that. So not just VeVe collectibles, but also the token is associated with them. And then you're buying when it's meaningfully down, and it is meaningfully down. And I wish I knew where the bottom is. I could have waited till this price, and I would have 4 times as much OMI as I have now. Well, I didn't have a magic crystal ball to know exactly where the bottom is, so I just been dollar cost averaging. And then when it swings way to the upside, which it will, barring thermonuclear war, and then money's meaningless anyway. But you'll see Bitcoin hit above 120,000, 140,000. This wave, the tide will start coming into crypto. And then a lot of these narratives within altcoins will start popping off. And you'll see OMI be one of those narratives. It's something that people can easily wrap their mind around. They'll be like, oh, digital collectibles, Disney, Marvel, this makes sense. And you get a flood of new people coming in. And that's the wave that you're selling into. So meaningfully, it's better if it stays down for as long as possible until it then goes to those crazy prices. And I hope it happens sharply. So it leaves this period of amazing dollar cost averaging at really, really low prices. And then it goes massively up, which is a great time to then sell and take your profits. What I love about crypto is that it is so volatile, because that volatility is what creates opportunity. See, in real estate, unless you can borrow meaningful amounts of money, or you have meaningful amounts of money, it is hard to make a lot of money, and it takes a long time. But in crypto, like, the price volatility is so high that you can turn $1,000 into $100,000 over the bear market into the bull market if you invest it well, or $10,000 into $1 million if you invest it well. Where else can you do that? You can't do that in real estate. I mean, you can turn 10,000 into $1 million over like 30 years, but like a long time in real estate. And so crypto, that's amazing. Now, will everyone do that? No. The sad facts in crypto is 89% of people do poorly. Why? Because they buy high and sell low. And it is as simple as buy low and sell high. And right now prices are really low. And what do you see most people do? They're not buying. Why? They just don't understand yet the buy low, sell high. And even some people watching this will be like, no. And you'll see how it plays out. And you'll see that I was right on this. And you'll be like, damn, Rain was right on this. Well, yes, I've been doing this for 8 years. But even before I was in crypto, I was in cycle investing with real estate and some other things. It's just how the cycles play out. So you're looking to buy meaningfully low, which prices are meaningfully low on OMI and a whole bunch of other altcoin projects. And then when it goes crazy, that's when you'll be tempted to buy more. That is exit time, not accumulate time. Right now is accumulate time.
I'm glad you're talking about time. And where are we in the timeline of OMI? Artura's asking, I told my buddy that we heard that the New Zealand OMI lawsuit would be settled in April. OMI NFT launches April 28th. We haven't heard anything from the grapevine in a couple of months. So it might be April, it might be May. We're not 100% sure yet. Somebody had asked, where can you buy OMI? Currently, you can buy it on Coinbase Wallet. You could even buy it on Stacker if you put ETH on there. And that's the other thing. Where does OMI go from here, where it should go and where it shouldn't go? Scott's saying no FUD, but I think all this happening on third party isn't bullish. I don't think mainstream will use Stacker. I really hope I'm wrong because I'm in pretty deep. Again, where are we in the timeline? a couple of years back, you had He Who Shall Not Be Named slap Okomi with a lawsuit, and then another one. And rumor is that he's planning another one. And I think we're kind of just over the lawsuits at this point. But outside of the thorn in the side and this one individual, you have a monster that attacked the rest of crypto. You had an unscrupulous adversary who tried to abuse the authority of the state, take away a lot of people's freedoms, affecting lives and companies. And the SEC investigations left us and VeVe wondering what happens next and how do we navigate these treacherous waters. XRP, Coinbase, Kraken, you name it, they were suing everyone. But the one that hit closest to home was probably the attack on Dapper Labs for not being able to buy their product, their own NFTs, outside of their magnificent ecosystem they had created. I think they paid like $6 million for that, give or take. So Dr. Profit, our Lord and Savior in our OMI bags, had stepped up and he created Stacker. But now Gary Gensler's gone, and the SEC, the new SEC chair, Paul Atkins, has promised a firm regulatory foundation for digital assets. So because the lawsuit is ending, you have a new SEC, it's a whole new world out there. What do you think that the top three people with 90 billion OMI between them, David, Dan, and Dr. Profit, are going to try to do for the token? Do you think they're just going to stop here? No, not at all. They didn't bend the knee and plead fealty to the king that is the SEC when they were coming after them. Not at all. I think in this timeline, we are about to release that rubber band that has been pulled back so far. And maybe, again, the VeVeverse rolls out, you have the this rolling out, you have comics and all that, and it hasn't affected the price yet. So maybe we do have to wait till that bull market. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of OMI that's going to be burned. The first partner statue that gets bought with OMI is probably going to be pretty special. So whoever is the first to do that, keep that on. What do you guys think?
Like Scott, he has a good point, and obviously he's in deep on OMI. Like, is it going to get usage? Not yet, but when digital collectibles goes crazy, it's going to get a lot of traction, and there will be some people that only use the VeVe app, right? And they'll use the VeVe app on computer and stuff. A lot of crypto people use Stacker. Why? Because then they can buy with crypto, and they don't have to then off ramp to fiat to then funnel it back in to buy through VeVe's thing. So there will be this dual approach, which is amazing. So a lot of brand new people, they'll just don't download the app and they'll buy things like they're used to. But it will make it easier for massive amounts of money to come into VeVe's collectibles through Stacker. So people who have huge amounts of crypto, say they sell their board 8 for 200,000 or 400,000, as the bull run hits really hard again, they could easily roll that all into VeVe's marketplace through Stacker. So that it'll be nice. So how many people will use it? Some, and some will still use VeVe's app.
Exactly. I mean, like you're getting additional adoption of usage when you do this. But on top of that, I don't think that people really consider this. Most people don't. Like, they're not in this world, but like VeVe limits their liability by not having the token on their app. It's their token. I mean, there's a sister company, however you want to look at it. There's a tie between Okomi and VeVe, right? They've got the same parent company, Orbis Technologies. And so from like a standpoint of like, hey, they've got a custody, when they were holding the OMI on the VeVe app, there's that custody. Even though it's in your wallet, like it just delineates things even more, which is always good. It's always good to kind of have that separation. Now I get like, it would be way easier if I could just use the OMI on the app and buy stuff. If I could just get on the app, and whether it was on Stacker or I could get on VeVe and see things listed in OMI. But to have that separation is going to be good. And the thing is, the way that Stacker is set up, like, I don't think that it's just going to be VeVe things that you'll be able to buy there at some point, right? Like, maybe we'll be able to buy. It's going to be it's a marketplace. Stacker is a marketplace. It's not just tied to VeVe. Obviously, we know the connections to VeVe, right? Like Dr. Profit. But at the same time, like, what if they open that up and all of a sudden people can buy Bored Apes with it, or CryptoPunks, or, like Cool Cats or Pudgy Penguins? Like, if they can open up that marketplace where they can start getting more and more eyes on it, because that Privy wallet is fantastic. right? And if people can start doing that, then there's going to be even more exposure there. And I think that that's the goal. I would imagine that that's got to be the goal. It's like the marketplace that they're going to have is going to be a multi-asset marketplace, right? Not just VeVe stuff, but all, like, depending on how many chains they can get it on. Like, it would be interesting to see, right? But I don't think that this is where they stop there. Kind of like what Randy was saying before, right? But the more people, the more eyes they can bring to it, just to the Stacker, with the different IP that they can get, if they can get some of these other NFT projects to come in there, and maybe even people launch their NFT projects on Stacker, right? Like, that's where you can mint it. It'd be kind of crazy, right, to think about that type of stuff. I think that's where this is going, guys. And so for me, it's bullish. We're not seeing it yet. We're not seeing the token price move yet, and I don't expect it to. I do think that there's going to be a tick up over the once that is done, as there are going to be some people who've wanted to purchase certain items and they're like, I can now buy it with OMI. And there's going to be some people who are like, yo, I want OMI, and they'll be willing to sell some of their items and maybe even have a discount again from what's on the VeVe app, because they want that OMI and the access to it. So I'm really excited about this. I think that this is actually a very big deal, and look forward to what they continue to build in the future.
Yeah, we had a couple of bullish things that, again, this news should have made the price probably like double. So we had a article come out from cryptonews.com, and shout out to Ben. So he had gotten Forbes to interview him a couple months ago, or even like a month back, and then he had gotten Crypto News to interview him. And the writer Leah Waters, very good at what she does. She was the one that broke the news on the Funko Marvel partnership with VeVe at Comic-Con in 2023. And she did this interview as well, and soft confirmed Ferrari. She soft confirmed it, and Ben did not correct her. He had shared the article, so they confirmed Ferrari without confirming Ferrari. That was really fun. And then later in the article, they were talking about comics, and she had asked the questions like, "Hey, VeVe Comics in particular shine bright with over 34,000 new user signups since March of 2024. What are the main factors that contribute to its popularity?" And I broke that down as I know exactly how many new users that they're getting each week, and it is nowhere near 34,000 from last year in the South by Southwest. So that means that you can go in and sign up for VeVe Comics. Like, you can sign up for VeVe Comics, same as Stacker, and you don't need to have a VeVe account in order to do it. If you want the NFTs, yes, you need that, but you can just get the digital read-only ones. So with this, there are 34,000 people that have signed up for the comics app. And I even asked Ben when he was on the podcast a month or so ago, hey, can you give us like some insight into the numbers on the digital read-only comics? You know, we can track the NFT numbers, we can track how much we're making there, but we don't have any insight to this. And he said, no way. That could be interpreted in many different ways, as in, hey, you know, we're making so little here, it's too embarrassing, or we're actually making a lot. Because again, 34,000 people, even if 97% of those people do nothing with it, and you have about 1,000 people each week, let's say 80% of them are buying one comic, 20% of them are buying two comics, which I think is pretty low. Again, the digital read only, the non-NFTs, that's an extra $300,000 a year. And that's likely going to double and triple as the narrative comes, and as people start making money, it'll double and triple again. I think that just from the digital read-only comics, that'll be an extra couple $1 million per year by the end of the year. And nobody's talking about that. So I really want your guys' opinions on it, on particularly when Marvel Unlimited closes and all these other comic places close. What does this do for VeVe's bottom line? What does it do for their revenue? And what can they do with that?
I think it'll be good for their revenue. I think after a while, people will figure out that they want the NFT version. It's worth just paying the extra money. But really right now, they don't realize what they're missing. And so it's an extra revenue source for VeVe, which is cool. And that's essentially good for us, because the more revenue VeVe has, the more that they can spend in expanding their product line and getting more contracts and more employees and better service. So good for us, even though it doesn't directly benefit us with OMI or with our digital collectibles, except for it's still keeping the total mint numbers of those NFTs or the digital collectibles low right now. That probably a lot more of their read-only comics selling because they haven't realized how valuable the digital collectibles are. And I was thinking, I was talking to a friend, I was like, I think some of these 1,000 mint comics that are new, that like don't have this track record from before, that are really good, some of them are going to end up being extremely valuable. Now, I don't read through each one, and I don't have a comic background to be able to go through and be like, oh my gosh, this one's probably going to be a winner. I wish I did, because I think some of these 1,000 mint comics that have come out over the last year and a half can do incredible well. And right now we're still in like this altcoin digital collectible bear market. Hasn't hit. And when it hits, some of those are going to blow up. And they'll go like 1,000x from where they're at now. Now, right now, they're probably like $2 or $1. So 1,000x from here is like, oh yeah, well, I only bought one, so I made $1,000. That's not meaningful. Yeah, but if you bought 100 of them, that's meaningful. So if I could figure out which ones those were, I'd load up.
Doc, you're on mute.
I think about that Aliens versus Avengers comic and how epic that first comic was. It's so good, man. It was so good. I was like tripping out reading that. Yeah, I think that there are going to be a lot of these comics that just come out of nowhere. And listen, yeah, if they shut down Marvel Unlimited, right? I mean, like, and funnel everyone through VeVe Comics, like that's going to be huge if that's where they got to get their digital comics, And again, like, I think that some people would be like, why would I pay the extra for this? Like, I get that. There's always going to be that, but there's always curious people who are like, what is this? Let me check, like, look into this more. Oh, like I can own it and then I can sell it. Why wouldn't I? Right? Like, even because it's like, okay, if you buy the $4.99 version or the $4 version, right? Like, you can't ever sell that. So it's literally worth zero, right? It's worth zero. You buy the digital collectible, even if it drops to $2 from the $8 that you got, right? Like, it's still worth $2 and not $0. But there's also a chance that, like, you hit the secret rare or you hit something else, and like, it's worth a lot more than that, especially down the line. And so I think that could be huge, just even for VeVe's revenue stream. So there's my answer to that. But one of the things that I kind of want to touch on that kind of touches on kind of Rain's philosophy about buying low and selling high, which just sounds so simplistic and is yet so hard to do. But there's this quote in one of Ernest Hemingway's books, and it's actually talking about bankruptcy. But he was like, how did you become bankrupt? And the guy is like, well, two ways: gradually, then suddenly. Right. And it's the same thing about crypto, though, in the reverse of like, it just takes a while, right? I mean, it's the same thing as like an overnight success 7 years in the making, right? Like, no one pays attention to your success until you're successful. But like, it's taken how much time to become successful, and then all of a sudden, all of the attention is on you, right? And that's what I think is going to happen with digital collectibles. I think it's also going to happen in the bull market again. A lot of people are just down. A lot of people aren't paying attention. They think it's over, and it just blows my mind, right? Like, I'm just like, there's so many things like that are still so bullish that can happen in this space. And honestly, it just takes like one thing. You look at the stock market, and as soon as Trump was like, hey, I'm lowering the tariffs on everyone except for China, and then the stock market had this largest single 24-hour day increase in the history of the stock market, right? Off a single piece of news. Like, that can happen. Like that's going to happen. Like, I believe it's going to happen in crypto still, right? And the thing is for me, it's way better. A lot of all of my portfolio is down substantially, but like I haven't sold. Like, why would I sell now? Because I'm still maintaining that mindset of like, there's a bull run coming, and whenever it is when these things are going to shoot up. And so I know that people like to play it, and they're like, oh well, I'm just holding off and like I'll buy later. But like, what happens is, and I've just seen this. I'm just saying it because I've seen it happen. So let's say that someone's focusing on OMI and they've got $10,000. Okay. So they don't buy at the bottom. And let's say that the bottom is 0001. Let's say, like, just to make these numbers easy, right? And they're like, ah. And then like things kind of start moving. They get these announcements. It goes to 0005, and they're like, oh, now I'm kind of paying attention. Like, so it's already up 5x, and now they're starting to pay attention, right? And then it gets to 001, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna throw in some money here at this, and I want to see how it plays out. Like, they never throw all of their money in. Like, they never do that, right? Because if they're that cautious, they're kind of playing on the way up. But each time they're buying in at a higher price, and so their overall gains are a lot less. But hey, did they risk a lot less, like, of loss? Like, sure, I guess, right? Instead of dollar cost averaging down, they're dollar cost averaging up. But like each time they're throwing in more money at a higher price is what happens. Because then the greed starts to kick in, and they're like, oh, well, now it's at like 007. I gotta throw in now, right? Like because it just keeps going up, and it's just like that's where they threw in all of their money. Instead of 0001, 0002, right? It's a 007. And I'm just saying that I saw that. I saw that in the last cycle. And for me, I can't time the market, and I'm not a day trader. So I find the projects that I believe in, and I get those tokens like in dollar cost average down, and just wait and see if I was right. Because if I'm right, it's going to pay off massively.
Agreed. Hey, another piece of news we had during this week is, or it might have been last week. DC, or I'm sorry, Candy being bought by Futureverse. Did we go over that last week, or was that more recent?
We didn't really go over that.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have mentioned it, but we didn't go into it in depth.
So a lot of people were asking why VeVe did not buy Candy Digital and why Future had to buy it. Because if they did that, then we could have gotten some DC comics over on VeVe. I think that would be great. However, I think that might happen anyway. I think part of the reason why they pulled out of London Comic-Con is the same reason why they did not buy Candy Digital. One, I don't even know if they were offered it, but the cost of going to a lot of these events is very high. Like last year, we were scheduled to not go to San Diego. After last year, we were like, okay, for 2025, we're not going to go to San Diego. And then they said, yeah, actually we will, but it's just the cost of it, like to sign up a couple of different people, it's just really, really high. So I think they made the right call to not go to London Comic-Con, in the same way that I think they made the right call to not buy Candy. Again, even if they were offered it, and I don't know if they probably were. Because again, you already have like the DC license in a couple of different ways. And again, like all of these licenses on VeVe Comics, if DC wants to have that money, if they want that bread, they're gonna go to VeVe, and it's a lot easier to have the licensors back up the truck and put the product on VeVe, as opposed to VeVe going in and buying something that's failed twice already. Futureverse does have a lot of things that are going for it. People are really excited about the interoperability and self-custody. But that's just kind of my take on it. Just wondering what you guys think.
Yeah. Like, I like Candy's site, and I like what they've done, but they are struggling. They didn't get their stuff early enough in the bull market to really get a big audience. And so they're just struggling to make money, which I like as a collector, right? I like that I can buy some of their stuff on Candy for cheap. Hopefully they survive, or at least you can keep those things in perpetuity, even if the company fails, because I think some of those will be worth a lot. I feel a lot more secure that VeVe's not going to fail than like Candy, right? And obviously they just got bought out by Futureverse. We don't know how much money was paid for them, and we don't know how that's going to work out. But I like the DC stuff. It would have been nice if VeVe bought them, and I don't know if it was offered or what the deal is, or maybe they wanted too much money to sell the VeVe. Who knows? But yeah, I think DC would be crazy not to give more licenses to VeVe. Why? Big audience, starts printing money for them day one as soon as VeVe releases it. And what people are underestimating is how much these licenses are going to make on the resales every time they sell when the bull market goes crazy. And a lot of these things, the prices go 100x, some of them 500x from here. And we saw that in January 2022. I was buying common Marvel #1s for 2 and 3 gems, and they went to 600 and 900 gems. So that's a 200 to 300x. And it was about 6 months time. So I don't know when digital collectibles take off again, but a lot of those licensors making their small fee are going to make a ton of money off of all these secondary sales that are happening then. And DC hopefully doesn't miss out on that by like jumping in and making a deal with VeVe, even though they've got Candy Digital. Maybe the comics stay with Futureverse and Candy Digital. Like, it'd be crazy not to come back to VeVe and be like, hey, we want to release a whole bunch more Batman stuff and a whole much more of this and that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were offered, but yeah, it might have not been the best deal. And I personally, I like that there's still competition. I like that, guys. Like you need competition. It pushes companies. When companies are like the only show in town, things like it's just human nature. Like you kind of let things go, you relax, and so you need that competition. To constantly be pushing innovation, to push companies to be better, to get more market share. And so I am grateful that they didn't buy Candy, that there's another competitor out there. I love the DC comics. I think it's a big deal. And so we'll see how this Futureverse really turns out. I have Walker World NFTs. I bought those, like I minted those when they first dropped back in like December of 21, I think, that I've been holding those. And they're part of the Futureverse. They're awesome NFTs, right? And so there's a lot going there, and I'm excited. I think as the metaverse, it's going to be kind of that gradually, then suddenly, like people keep slowly talking about the metaverse, right? And nothing's really happening. Still got Sandbox out there in Decentraland, but at some point in time, the technology is going to catch up, and something's going to kickstart it, and then that's what they're going to be talking about: digital collecting, the metaverse, all of that jazz. And when that happens, so the Futureverse, like I think if they can hold out and be making money while they are building out, they'll be great. But that IP, the DC IP and those comics is so valuable that even if Futureverse goes out, they'll be able to sell it to someone else. And maybe at that point it'll be VeVe. But again, I really hope that they stay on different platforms for that reason.
You're going to have a lot of cross trading here, and it's going to be easy. So I had somebody that according to Stacker, his collection is worth maybe I think it said 4. Let me see. I'm sorry. But they have an AI component as well. Dr. Prophet posted a video about that. Buddy of mine, his collection is worth 557-ish million OMI. And is just like, when can we do bundles? I'll take 450 for it right now, because 450 million OMI is really nice. And that's not including the, what do you call it? That's not including, like, he's got a lot of sub 100s as well. So a lot of key items. But in order to do that, because you can't do bundles right now, that'll happen at some point. So if you're somebody that has like a couple thousand collectibles, it's kind of going to be a pain to kind of list each one. But Stacker had posted, hey, VeVe fam, you notice that we have AI answers in our chat widget. Now that's likely going to evolve into saying like, hey, list this for me for X amount of OMI. So anything that you want to ask, you can go in and ask the AI answers. It'll answer it for you. But again, that will likely evolve as time goes on. When this comes out, are you guys, OMI's so low, you guys going to sell some stuff to get some OMI? Particularly stuff that you couldn't before?
No.
I might. No, I probably will. There's probably going to be some things that I'm selling to get more OMI. I think that OMI will pump before the collectibles probably pump. And I would like some more OMI. And so we'll see what things are going for on Stacker. Because there might be certain things that like go for a premium, because people are like, well, I don't want to convert into gems and stuff, but like I'll pay crypto. And so if that happens, I'll definitely keep an eye out for that, right? If there are certain things that are going for a premium. But I don't have the stacks that you guys do of OMI. So that might be a way for me to do that.
You will. As one of your things goes up, like, take a little off the top, get a little bit of the OMI. I hope you do it in time, because I feel like you probably have time, but you have people like BlackRock just bought like 43 million worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase. Some giant whale bought like $91 million worth of Bitcoin on Binance today. You have ETFs going in here. You have ETFs. There's like a Doge ETF. OMI has more utility than 99.9% of tokens out there. And I'm not saying that you get like an ETF of like an OMI ETF like this year, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that within the next 2 years you get like a digital collectibles like ETF or a metaverse ETF that would include OMI. Do you think I'm off base there? Be like, that's going to be a little hard for it to do, or is it like, you know what, anything's possible?
I mean, in the next year,
no metaverse ETFs. No.
At some point, yes.
Metaverse ETFs, like metaverse crypto token ETFs, maybe not in the next year, guys. There's so much that still has to come out. We don't even have kind of these regulatory agencies. They still haven't even put out their guidance. I think they have until like June or July or something, right? And it's not until then that then companies can start saying, okay, here's like where we can, here's a sandbox that we can play in, right? And then they start kind of like innovating. They start trying things out, and so I mean, but yeah, and I guess like I think that when I hear people start throwing out like ETFs, like I just don't think that people understand kind of like the threshold it takes for that to get approved. Like it's pretty rigorous process, like because these are the financial markets, you know what I mean? Like these are people's pensions, these are people's retirement accounts, right? And so like you can't have in crazy high speculative tokens. I mean, I think that the reason, again, Bitcoin and Ethereum, it was kind of a loophole because they did the futures with it and things, which are already like a lot more volatile and like in nature, but like those have kind of been around. They're the OGs of the space, really. I think that they're going to be around a long time. And so like to throw in like metaverse tokens, like it's going to take some time for traditional finance companies and insurance companies and these hedge funds to really understand the space before there'll be any appetite to go after that. There's got to be appetite. Like that's the thing. There has been appetite for a Bitcoin ETF and an Ethereum ETF. There's been large appetite for that, right? No one's asking for metaverse tokens. And I don't think they're going to be asking for metaverse tokens in a year. Like in their 401ks. I don't think so.
I think when the FOMO gets crazy, might not get passed in the US, but you might see some of these other countries open up ETF for them because they'll be able to do it faster. And FOMO is real. So when everyone's talking about crypto, there'll be a lot of pressure. Like, oh man, when the metaverse narrative hits and things are going crazy, it's a really bad time for people to then be buying the token. But that's when people are going to try to be pushing through some kind of metaverse ETF. And it'll get people wrecked because they'll be doing after prices of maybe 100x or 200x. But then you'll have a line of people trying to buy it, which is the time to be selling. That's when the smart people are selling. And right now is when the smart people are buying. And so that's when the majority of people will be trying to buy. And that's a terrible time to buy it. It really is that simple. Buy low, sell high. It's just emotionally so hard to do because right now it's like, oh, things are so down. Trade wars. Oh my gosh, Trump, president, what's he doing? The whole world is going to go to shit. I can't buy. I'm just going to wait till things go better. And then prices are 10 times the prices they are now. And then they start buying then. And it's like, but then they don't take profits when they go crazy because they think it's just going to go up for forever. And that's why most people don't make money in crypto, even though the opportunity is so amazing. If you just generally buy during this bear market when everyone's scared to buy, and you try to buy projects that have good long-term potential or that will at least survive until the coming bull market, and then you sell them in that bull market when everyone's loading up then. And it seems so simple, and yet it's hard for most to do. You have to rewire your brain to be doing the opposite. You're running in when everyone says the building is burning to the ground, and you're leaving when it seems all fixed and everyone's trying to run in. And it's just contrary to human behavior. And that's why so many people can't do it, because they trade on their emotions and they get scared, like, oh my gosh, VeVe's never going to do this and VeVe's never going to do that. And then they do it. What they're really saying is, I'm like scared and I'm finding all these reasons why. And I look at the charts and VeVe's prices or OMI's price has just gone down and down and down and down. And I'm just scared. And so that's why emotionally they're just finding reasons that they're scared. And that's why you can't convince them, because the underlying thing is, I'm scared and I'm buying, or I'm selling emotionally. In no way am I going to buy when I feel scared. Then when prices have gone up 100x, then they feel like it's safe. It is not safe at that point. It is risky as hell. But they'll look at the charts and it's nothing but climb. And they have this thing called recency bias. Oh, in the last 3 months, it's gone 100x. It's just going to keep going up. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's going to reverse, and it's going to reverse hard. And every one of you is going to see, I think most of you that are here, you get it, right? I'm preaching to the choir here. Like, if you've stuck around this long during the bear market, you have a head on your shoulders. You get it already.
I'll say this. I mean, I can't speak to what other countries are going to do, but I would love to do a gentleman's bet with you guys that there will absolutely in the US not be a metaverse ETF. And if I'm wrong, I've got to do 100 push-ups on live on stream. And if I'm right, you guys have to do 100 push-ups.
What's the time frame on the metaverse ETF?
My office doesn't lend itself well to push-ups.
Well, fine. We'll figure something out.
We'll do it at like one of the Comic-Cons that we're all at.
Okay, yeah, something like that. The timeline would be a year from today.
But like, is the US going to have it? I'm not going to argue that the US is going to have it in a year, because I don't think they will.
I just like that. Like, I love
I'll take that bet. I'll make it for ETF in a year.
What's that?
I'll take the bet of there will be a metaverse ETF in a year, but not in the US.
But like, what would qualify as a full could I like put a fund together and be like, yeah, this is my metaverse ETF?
No. It's got to be traded on the traditional finance market, right? On the stock market of some country.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'd even take that bet, Rain. I'd take that, but maybe not for as many push-ups, maybe 50 push-ups. Because like, listen, there was Bitcoin ETFs out there before the US did it, right? Like, so that's my thing is, I do think that there are other countries out there. They're not as impactful, right? I mean, like, once Bitcoin hit, once US did a Bitcoin ETF, the price pumped substantially. And leading up to that, people believing that it was going to happen really pumped the price, even though there was already Bitcoin ETFs in other countries. But yeah, like I would say I would do a metaverse. I do not believe that there will be a metaverse token or a metaverse ETF in any country within the next year. And if I'm wrong, I got to do 50 push-ups at one of the Comic-Cons.
So for April 22nd, 2026.
Yeah. And I say this, I think it's fun to speculate, and like I think that I got caught up in the wave over the years talking about OMI and price predictions and stuff, and I've kind of tempered that. And like, I love the chat and I love like the speculation. I think it's good, but also I'm like, I think sometimes it's good to temper things and kind of bring it down to like, is this the reality? At least, and this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong, right? But it's kind of my world, and so I think it's important to kind of point some of these things out. But I do believe long term, metaverse is going to be a thing, and once it is established, then I could see whether it's metaverse tokens or if it's metaverse stock or stock in metaverse companies type things, something like that happening and being part of the ETF. But like traditional finance markets, they don't mess around with people's 401ks and retirements and things. Like, that's something that you got to be really selective about what you're offering people, because you could just decimate people's wealth, and like, it's not good.
Agreed.
Hey, 100% seller spur. Let's see.
Meme ETF sounds like an amazing idea.
I missed that for both. I've heard amazing idea and stellar spur.
Meme coin ETFs.
Okay, so stellar spur, because why would you think? It's just because
I can adjust that.
Oh yeah, no, I the same. I was just going to say because of money laundering. I imagine you'd say much the same.
Yeah, money laundering. Like that's the thing, right? Like if people find out that hey, I can sit there and wash my money, I buy gems, right? Like now, like, and especially if you enter in the crypto aspect of things, right? Where basically you can steal someone's funds because they've got to be illicit funds to begin with, and that's kind of hard to do. But you can steal someone's credit card. So I steal someone's credit card information. I go and open an account, and I buy a ton of gems, right? And then I buy these collectibles, and then I trade it to my actual account, right? And then I cash those out, or I sell those, and then I cash out. I basically trade that, right? So I steal the credit card, I buy on a bad account with a fake ID or whatever, and then I just trade those NFTs to the right account, and then I go and cash out, and then I'm gone. And it's still going to be another fake ID, but it's tied to the actual bank account that I want, or I have a mule do it to their bank account. I mean, there's so many ways to do it, guys, that it just opens up a lot of liability. Now, that being said, there are ways. I mean, because you got to think about it, like banks, you transfer money back and forth to people all of the time, right? So it's not like that it's impossible. But VeVe would probably have to pay for some software that would track all of that, right? But then they got to get into KYC reporting. So they got to get a compliance officer, compliance management system in place. There's a lot of costs that would be tied to opening that up. And they're definitely not, and right now is not the time to be doing that. Like digital collectibles would have to be mainstream for it to make sense for them to do that.
Agreed. Speaking of other stuff, talking about memes before, I had this idea like a couple of years ago where I thought VeVe should take a couple grand each month, buy pick a meme project out there, buy a couple $100 of their token, and then say, hey, if you go in and open a VeVe account and buy one collectible, it could be worth $1, then you'll be put in a raffle, and then that raffle, like, you'll get a chance to win your favorite meme token. And if they were to do that, one that increases the numbers of not only just users in general, but active daily users, because you could just keep on doing this and doing this forever. Long term, I don't know if that really would have been a good. I don't think that would have worked long term. I think that's more of a quarterly thing. However, VeVe is kind of doing this on their own, not necessarily with memes. Although SHIRO and daCAT are daCAT's going to be on there. SHIRO may or may not be. We're not sure yet. They're going to do that with the Comic Curator program. And Doc hinted at it before, saying like maybe other companies or other projects can put their stuff directly on Stacker. I think that's a great idea. That they're doing that exact same thing with VeVe Comics. They're having people be able to upload their stuff, bringing their audience to VeVe, or at the very least VeVe Comics. And that's just one of the ways that I think they can capture meme culture, is by going on and saying, okay, anyone can make a comic book. Now, don't get me wrong, it is hard. The writing for me is the easy part. The artist, that's the hard part, because that tends to cost a lot of money. That's one of those things where if you decide as a meme project, you can get on VeVe, and if your stuff does really well, then they might give you a drop. I mean, if your stuff sells 20 comic books, they're probably not going to give you a drop. But if your stuff sells 1,000 or a couple thousand comic books, and you make them in the 5 figures, they'll probably pay attention and give you a drop. So that's my kind of way and how they can do it. Rain, do you think this is a thing worth pursuing? I think it is, but if you say yes, how? And if no, tell me why.
Well, I'm just not a big fan of memes. It's not my thing. And they're kind of like clubs, right? And so like when I think of crypto, I'm thinking of early stage business investing. And I think about opportunity cost. So I don't mess around with the memes because your chance of success on meme coins is really, really low. People were like, yeah, but so-and-so bought $100 worth of this meme coin and it took off and it went crazy. And it's like, yeah, and I know somebody whose aunt won the jackpot at the casino on a slot machine. But the chances are still really, really bad, even though there's some winners. And in crypto, when you're buying projects like when everything's down that have like a 70 to 95% chance of surviving to the bull market, and they have a good narrative, then like their chance of success is really high, as well as the multiples when they do well, really, really high. So like I just don't spend any time on the memes. It'd be worth VeVe playing around with that. I'm just not the right person to know yes or no on that. Like it could, but like we're out of meme season. Like meme season was like 9 months ago, and everyone's like, oh, this meme coin. Playing it during that might be effective. It's really just a marketing tactic to get their name out of it. And I do think that VeVe has more staying power than a lot of other things out there. So if they bring people into it, even if they kind of go away for a while, they will come back to it, because this idea of digital collectibles is going to be huge. They may get an account, they might buy a few things, then they might forget about it for 9 months till digital collectibles is something everyone's talking about. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I have the VeVe app, and it'll be easier for them to come back to it. So might it be beneficial? Yes, I'm just the wrong person to know on that.
That's fair. We have Arcturus talking about Pokemon, saying that imagine if OMI becomes the only crypto tied to Pokemon, and yeah, that could very well happen in the future. But I mean, like, I'd celebrate what we have right now, where we have the only crypto where you can buy Marvel and Disney stuff for. That is bananas. Obviously, right now we're not seeing too much of an effect. We're in long term. However long they keep this up for, maybe at some point there's another token that you might be able to use to buy Marvel and Disney stuff. But right now, how much is this worth? How much should this add to the market cap?
Hard to say. What a lot of people don't understand is they're like, yeah, OMI needs more utility. OMI needs more utility. And it's like, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like I used to believe that argument my first 4 years in crypto, that utility was king. And we saw that with the BNB token. First, the BNB token had minor utility. If you held some BNB on Binance, when you traded, it would give you a discounted trading fee, which wasn't all that much anyway. So I had a little bit of utility. But then they continued to expand the utility, which made a big deal, so that BNB token actually went up during the bear market of 2019, 2020. And it was about the only thing that went up. Everything else got massively, massively crushed. So I through 2021, I was like, utility is everything. And then I saw in 2021, like in digital collectible space, there are some competitors to OMI. But you saw OMI run like crazy. What's the utility of OMI? Well, back then, almost nothing. What was the utility to Flow and to Chili's, which are two digital collectibles competitors? Like nothing. Like what can you use the Flow token for? I'm not aware that there's any use case for it. Did it stop Flow from going massively up? No, Flow still went massively up as NBA Top Shots took off. The Flow token, which was the token associated with Dapper Labs, went absolutely crazy too. And so the fact that they now have a use case just amplifies what it's going to. But I don't know what those numbers look like. I don't know if it's double or triple. And it's cool that it's got more utility than the Chili's token, at least that I'm aware of. It's got more utility than Flow does. But it won't hit until the digital collectibles narrative really hits. And then it probably just amplifies what it was going to do. Maybe if it was going to do 100x, instead it doubles that or triples that. Those are some really good multiples at the price we're at now. I mean, Agreed. Has everyone looked at the candle of what Bitcoin has done recently? Just back on 20th of April, it was 84,000. And if you go back to the 9th of April, it was at 74,000. Today, it blasted up and almost touched $94,000. Telling you, at some point, Bitcoin is really going to run. When it does, people are going to start thinking, oh, things are going digital. Then the money's going to start cascading, first into Bitcoin, but then into other things like digital collectibles. And I don't know when that happens, if it's 2 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. Sometime probably in that time frame. It could take 11 months. I don't know. It's hard to tell like when this is all going to happen, just that it generally plays out in a 4-year time frame. And our last peak was 2021. It happened both in March and then later in October. With the digital collectibles really running in January of 2022, which was interesting. They really went crazy in January 2022. So when is VeVe stuff going to go crazy? When is OMI going to go crazy? OMI peaked in March of 2021. I don't know. And Flow peaked in March of 2021 as well. And I think Chili's did as well. So when is OMI going to peak? I don't know. Sometime after Bitcoin probably breaks 120 to 140,000, everyone really starts paying attention to crypto. And then they're like, oh, digital collectibles. Those are so cool. What's the token associated with all these Batman and Supermans and stuff? OMI. OMI go to the moon. And all those fodders just disappear. We just don't hear from them anymore. They pretend they never made these statements that OMI was dead. And then everyone else like just celebrates, like especially all the people that stuck around during this time and were brave enough to like buy when everyone was selling.
You have a bunch of things that are going to fuel the fire. Obviously, people taking profit on Bitcoin, the top 10 alts that you have up there. You have a bunch of deals like the dark storm clouds on both the Ukraine-Russian war, on the U.S. war with tariffs and everyone, that are coming to a close. You have Israel and Japan today that had said, hey, we're ready to make a deal with the U.S. South Korea, I think, did that same thing. Like, the more countries that make a deal with the U.S., the better it's going to be for the U.S. when they deal with China. And they had just come out like an hour before this, where the Chinese President Xi Jinping had said, yeah, we scheduled a meeting for May. That gives Trump another 30-ish days, give it maybe even like 15 days, depending on when in May they're meeting, to close a bunch of these deals. The more deals that he can close beforehand, the more leverage he has against China when they meet. This is not good for China. This is one of the things that, again, if you can cut spending enough, a lot of times that you can cut taxes. A lot of times what they did in the past was that they just cut taxes and the government kept spending, and that's why we have this hyperinflation. We've had this hyperinflation. The debt's at like 37 trillion. But Trump has bought I don't know how many billions in from these tariff wars. There's a chance, however small, it's greater than zero, that at the end of these trade deals, that you can either eliminate the income tax or make it so that the income tax is just a fraction of what it was. What do people do when they have found money? Go back to 2020. It's a very recent example. They get those $1,200 checks. They were not smart with it. Pokemon cards, Bitcoin, like all of this stuff. I know, I was there. I synced it. I was there, Gandalf. And when you take all of these things that are going into effect, again, the end of this trade war seems like it might be in the next, maybe even like 45 days, if they can get that deal inked with China. Then you have like $7 trillion sitting in money market accounts on the sidelines. You have Russia that had talked about a ceasefire today to try to have an end to this almost 3-year war with Ukraine. Markets hate instability, but they love stability, and we're about to get a lot of that. So when all of these things, again, this is a glimpse of what we're going to get. SHIRO's up like 19% today. daCAT's up like 24%. daCAT's up like 24%. I'm like $5,000 a volume. When you have the hundreds of billions of dollars that are going into Bitcoin, and a fraction of that goes into OMI with a $55 million market cap, we have an average of 1 to 2 million volume a day. What happens when you have 100 million in volume a day? You know, when you 50x the volume, does the price go up 50x? No, but can that go up like a 10x pretty quickly? Yeah, it can, especially because we've been suppressed for so long. Especially because you have a bunch of people that I see get comments all the time that OMI will go to 18 to 20 cents. And I'm not saying that it should, probably should not. Even my base case at like 3 to 5 cents, you know, that's a lot of money. And my bull case 8 to 10 cents. Part of the way that I go in and calculate that is because there are a small minority of people that think OMI should be 30 cents, even if it shouldn't. If enough people have that feeling, then a project can often go to where it shouldn't. And you have the blow off top. I feel like the pillars are being built and the chemicals are being mixed for this giant blow off top. We might have to wait several more months for it, but these are just my feels. Doc, we missed you. Where'd you go?
Yeah, sorry, I had to take a call from a buddy. Yeah, so I had to deal with
That's
that.
fair. Doc, what do you think happens to the OMI token if they go like, because right now me and Rain just talked about Disney and how it's really powerful, that it's the only token that's able to buy these Disney NFTs. What happens if we get Pokemon? What happens if you could buy Pikachu with OMI? Like, what does that do for the market cap and for if Nintendo thinks that OMI is safe? Like, clearly Disney thinks that OMI is safe and Marvel thinks that OMI is safe. What does that do for the company and the reputation?
Well, I mean, I definitely think it'll make a splash. I mean, I think that there'll be articles, like, Forbes magazine, Bloomberg, like honestly, it would be big news. Pokemon entering into the crypto space in some way, shape, or form with NFTs. That would be big news. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest IPs out there when it comes to kind of just like digital stuff. I mean, it's everywhere, right? So Pokemon definitely commands a lot of attention. So that would be massive. Interesting. I remember when Steamboat Willie release on VeVe happened, and this is when Bored Apes were still, I mean, worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and one of the largest holders of Bored Apes was like, I would trade my Bored Ape for one of these Steamboat Willie NFTs, but he didn't know that it wasn't interoperable, right? And like, that's when he kind of backed away from it. But we'll see, because I still saw throughout the years, it's been interesting. Some of the people that I followed in the Bored Ape community and stuff, they had VeVe NFTs, but they sold out a lot. Like, they cashed out and made some good money. Some of them they sold later and they were kind of out. This could bring them back, and especially if they can use crypto to do it, So regardless, I think, again, this is just like, it would be another notch in their belt, but like a massive, massive notch for them to have and really establish VeVe as like the undisputed. I mean, I think that they already are the undisputed kind of like winners so far in the digital collectible space. But like, this would just put them just so high above anyone else, which then makes it tough for competition. And they have to, which is great in that the competition has to innovate to do anything to catch attention, right? Which then would force VeVe to do that. But it would be massive, man. It would be massive for the token. I think that there would absolutely be a pump on the price of the token just from that announcement. And it would probably be one of those where it would jump up and then drop down, but it would have a much higher low than it was before, and then kind of go from there. And then if we hit a narrative or anything like that, or if you get the Bored Apes and some like Pudgy Penguins and all these others on a stacker marketplace where you're getting more and more eyes like that, I think that people would start to feel a lot more comfortable about purchasing those. So, I mean, it could be a massive catalyst.
So there's we were talking about exchanges. I mean, we always talk about exchanges, but a lot of the reason why it had been argued that we should not have gotten an exchange is because they were waiting for VeVeverse. They're waiting for full utility to roll out. They're waiting now that a lot of these obligations or these prerequisites are being filled. It's the last question is timing, and when should you get like a larger exchange? You could do it now that everything's rolled out and you can get a lot of eyes on the project, and we could potentially go up. I think at that point, if we do it in the next like 2 months, you might see a kind of a pump and dump, or you could wait. And I think if you go on a big exchange during when the narrative is in, its effect is just amplified. What do you say to the people that have been waiting for X amount of years? Like, hey, first it was this, then it was this, and like now, it was a lawsuit. And how do you go and calm the people that have been waiting for years, where it's been like half a decade and we're not on any meaningful exchanges yet? How do you go on and tell them, like, guys, just a little bit longer? It's best to wait another 6 months until that narrative comes in, or do you not, or do you push for it now? What do you guys think?
Well, I think you make the case to them and you let them decide, and either way they're going to learn a lesson. So either they'll be like, you know what, that makes sense to me, okay, I'm going to be patient, and they'll learn how it plays out. Or they're like, nah, I'm out. All these people say it's going to do bad, and I'm believing them, and I'm out. And then what's going to happen happens, and they're going to learn a lesson. And so, like, smart people in this world don't make every decision right, but they learn from every decision, especially those that go right and those that go wrong, and they become good over time. And what a lot of people don't realize in the crypto space is they came in the crypto space, they're like, yeah, I have it all figured out. It's like, look, this follows normal cycle investing. How much experience do you have in cycle investing? Oh, you're brand new to this? Okay, you have a lot to learn. And you're probably going to learn some of it the hard way. Now, some people are like, oh, they look at people that have been doing cycle investing for a while and be like, okay, tell me what you've seen. Cool, I'm going to learn from your mistakes. So I'll have to learn from making as many of my own. Cool. And then let it plays out. And they're like, Rain, you thought OMI's token would be higher by now. Yeah, it was a guess. But generally, I've said this. Buy low in the bear market and sell when it goes crazy. What if it never goes crazy? Why is it not going to go crazy? Like every 4 years since 2013, the year after the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin explodes really high. And after Bitcoin explodes really high, a lot of people FOMO into all the altcoins. It's played out that time and over again. Bitcoin hasn't broken into massive highs yet. A little bit earlier when it went to like 108,000 and it went up to like, yeah, almost 110. Cool. And you saw some people coming into crypto, but it's going to go much higher than that. And that's really when the blow off top for altcoins and everything else in the crypto space, all these narratives hit. It's fairly late in the cycle when Bitcoin is broke through some crazy numbers. It wakes up all these people. And then they start looking into what Bitcoin is all about, what crypto is all about. And then this money just cascades in. So it's just a waiting game.
What about you, Doc, on the exchanges and to wait or not to wait?
I don't know. Like if they try to do it now, they're gonna have to pay a pretty hefty fee, honestly. And does that make sense right now when they could put that into other marketing? Because if they do it right, honestly, like to where VeVe gets that attention, right, and the token is trading, that volume really goes up, then they'll be rogue listed and they don't even have to pay it. But I don't think right now is the time to list Coinbase. Honestly, it would pump some, but like people would still be like, "What's OMI?" You've got to have the narrative like to kind of go with it. With meme coins, you saw that all of these meme coins were getting listed like on all these exchanges, right? Like all over the place because meme coins was the narrative. And so, and then they would just take like the biggest performers, the ones that have broke like $500 million market caps, and then they just throw those on. And because that would pump them up to like $1 billion market cap, right? They make all these money on trading fees because that's all they care about. It's just a business to them, right? So it's got to make sense for them to list it. Either you're going to pay on the front end, and that's where they're going to kind of cover and make sure that all of their fixed expenses are covered, plus they're getting some profit, or because the token is trading so much and there's so much volume that they can just make a ton off of the trading fees there. So for me, I think it's better to wait and to really use those funds somewhere else, but still have it in reserve. So like have money that you're like, okay, like at some point, if for whatever reason they don't rogue list us, but this narrative has happened, we do need to get on an exchange and making sure that they get on that exchange. Because as we've seen, I mean, that's what really did Doge. Doge pumped so much because it was on all of these exchanges. It was so easy to buy. And everyone was talking about it. Elon Musk, had talked about Doge. And so like it was just at the forefront of everyone's minds. And it would have done almost nothing had we not had exchanges. Like the big US exchanges, like they would have done nowhere near as like what it did. So it's very important that we get them. I don't think we need them right now.
Yeah. Currently, they are trading enough in order to get on certain ones. I don't know if 1 to 2 million a day is really enough for Coinbase. I don't know generally how. Do you know how much they usually need to get on those big ones?
No, but a lot of times you got to pay a market maker fee when you're going to them, and you have to set aside a lot of funds for it. Is it worth it? No, like just wait till longer when the narrative starts going. and then it'll be easy to get. They'll want to list you. It'll be easier. The fee they'll require is so much lower. And it's like trying to catch a wave too early. You're like paddling. By the time the wave gets there, you've exhausted your resources or your energy. So don't exhaust your resources and your energy in this type of market yet. Wait. There's no reason to not wait. I mean, listing on Coinbase, some people would, yay, we're on Coinbase. How many people are thinking about OMI right now on Coinbase? Not very many. You would see a small influx of new people, and that's it. Like, wait till the tide is coming in. It's not coming in yet. And maybe with Bitcoin going up 20K in the last like week or so, cool. Just wait. It's fine.
Agreed.
You know, I'll give you an example. There's this project that I really like, and it's in the gaming space. It's called My Pet Hooligan, and so the token is called the Carrot token. My Pet Hooligan is a freaking awesome game, and it's going to be on Xbox and PlayStation as well. It's super fun, and I've talked about this a little bit, right, with like the Zucker bots or whatever, like Zuckerberg is the bad guy, basically. Like I love it, right? And it's kind of this like cyberpunk rabbits that are doing it, and like the animations, the graphics are awesome, right? And when Carrot was listed on, it is on Coinbase currently, right? And it pumped, and it got up to like 70 cents. I think it's down to like 7 cents right now. You know what I mean? But look, a lot of tokens on Coinbase are down substantially, right? But so I guess what I'm saying is like it doesn't. Just because it's on that exchange, if the narrative isn't there right now, Web3 gaming is not in the narrative. But I think that it pumps higher when like things kind of come back, when people feel pretty good about the crypto space and things move, that token pumps higher because it's easier to access. And so people then buy that. But if Web3 gaming narrative hits, you better believe, because it's on Coinbase, it's going to rocket. That's my belief. Not financial advice.
Yeah, I think when the narratives hit, and with the current SEC not being Gary Gensler's SEC, it's going to be a lot easier for digital, like blockchain gaming projects to get their tokens listed on Coinbase. Something like OMI, if digital collectibles take off, to get listed on Coinbase. Flow is already listed on Coinbase, but they just have a higher market cap. So like I think it'll be easier for OMI, and I think these blockchain gaming companies, it'd be so easy. Coinbase will be chomping at the bit to list them as blockchain gaming takes off. You know, as Kyle is saying, Illuvium making a move today, and it's up like 30%. It was down to almost $10, and it's up to $14.20. Still massively cheap. Like blockchain gaming is way out of the narrative, which is when I love to load up on things like blockchain gaming. Almost nobody's thinking about blockchain gaming right now, and they're missing it. Blockchain gaming is going to be huge in the coming bull market. And things like Illuvium, I don't like the Guns token at the current price. It's just too unpredictable. Could end up going up from here because there's relatively low supply for the next year. But I don't know. Like I like playing off the grids games because you can earn these NFTs, and some of these rare exclusive NFTs, I think will be worth a lot in the coming bull market when blockchain gaming goes crazy. So that's worth doing. I don't know about buying the Guns token. Things like Illuvium's token and other blockchain gaming projects, tokens, I think way undervalued, way cheap. Digital collectible space, way cheap, with OMI being my favorite. Amazing. Like this whole trade war has brought prices tremendously down. I mean, you saw Illuvium like at $40 and dropped all the way to like $10. What a discount. Like $40 was a good deal. $10. Crazy. Sometimes crazy deals happen. OMI's token, I mean, OMI's price is ridiculously cheap. Like people passing it up at this price, it's crazy. Like you can get so much OMI for $1,000 now. So cheap at 0002. What's that? 50 OMI per penny. It's amazing.
Yeah, for Illuvia, hitting 1,500 again, that's hard. You know, it's 100x from here. The market cap currently at 107 million. So it's a bit. Yeah, I guess 10 billion. I guess it could do that if it goes pretty crazy. It just seems like a lot. But again, looking at the market cap, 10
It
billion, not really so
do
crazy.
that again. Like before, there was a lot less tokens in supply, so the market cap didn't have to go this big. And it has to do with how many competitors are out that are really good, and do its Illuvatars really become this collectible, like this Pokemon level collectible that everyone wants? And if so, Illuvium's token's gonna boom massively, and it'll surpass 1,500 if it really hits some traction. And it's poised to do well. There aren't very many blockchain games that are like AAA level and ready to go. That's one of a handful of them, right? Off the Grid, Illuvium, My Pet Hooligan might be ready, and if it's on Xbox and other consoles, good positioning as blockchain gaming goes crazy. And that's what Axie Infinity did well, is it had a game that had been out for 6 to 9 months. So they had worked out a lot of the bugs as the crypto space went crazy. And then everyone started talking about blockchain gaming. It was the only thing with an actual release game that was playable and interesting. And it caught massive traction and blew up to the 10th highest played game in the world, even though its gameplay loop, in my opinion, was so dull, so boring. Number 10 highest played game in the world at that time, though. Big deal.
It's wild. It became the number 10 highest played game. That is nuts.
Yeah.
But I guess when you have
this idea of earning money while you play, and this idea, what you're essentially doing is exchanging time for value. And being able to extract that value is this beautiful, beautiful thing that you can't do. Now, people have been doing it on the black market with World of Warcraft for forever. They'll earn gold and they'll sell gold on the black market. If you get caught, you lose your account and all your gold that you bought. But like, people have been trying to do that forever. Now that type of exchange is embraced and endorsed. That's going to be really, really big.
So there's I don't know if it was Jem I talked to the other day that commented, or someone like Jem, because there's a lot of people that are Bitcoin maxis, and that's fine. And I told them that, yeah, let's say that Kathy Wood is right, and you have $1 million Bitcoin by 2030. Even if she's half right, and you have a $500,000 Bitcoin by 2030, Bitcoin is like the safest crypto out there. But you don't just get that. You trade ROI for that safety. And yeah, Bitcoin is safer than any coin here that we're talking about. But you're not going to share in the same, like, there's no way Bitcoin does 100x, at least not this cycle, not in the next, couple of years. But a lot of these tokens that we're talking about, like even Illuvium that we don't really touch on all that often, yeah, that's not hitherto undreamt of getting 100x, down to $1,500, because that's a $10 billion market cap. A lot of this stuff that we're talking about is very real possibility that you can get 100, sometimes a couple of 100x. Now, is it possible that some people are disappointed where you can maybe only does a 20x? Maybe that narrative never hits, but because of the blow off top, money goes into it anyway. Sure, that's possible. But the ROI on that is still going to be higher than Bitcoin, at least on this cycle. So that's just something I wanted to touch on. Yeah, David wearing an OMI hat. The last time he did that was actually on his interview with Ben, where Ben was interviewing him when Ben was over at Binance. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about buying Bitcoin is just the opportunity cost. It's like, sure, the risk is much, much lower with Bitcoin. And if you had $10 billion, you'd be like, yes, I'm up 10%. That's amazing. Like 10% is not life-changing. It's really not. Sometimes people get really excited. I'm up 10% of my stocks. It's like, yeah. What did 10% do for you? So unless you have a really big number to start with. And so the thing I like about crypto is from the bear market to the bull market, even diversified across a lot of projects and stuff, so you can, which is how I do it. So I can diversify my risk. You can make 20x to 100x, and 20x to 100x is life-changing. 10%, like Bitcoin will go up more than just 10% from now. It might go 100% up from now, which is a lot. If you put 100 million into it and you go to 200 million, that's sizable. But if you put $10,000 into it, getting some echo from something, Doc, it might be yours. If you put $10,000 into it and it goes to 20,000 over your 4 years, you've experienced what you call opportunity cost of like, yay, I made $10,000. How much did your life change? You can buy a decent car cash now, whereas $10,000, you could have bought a less decent car that was used cash, but that's not really life changing. Now, if you turn that $10,000 into $200,000, that starts to be like a really good start towards your future. See, in some countries, some places you can buy a whole house with that. In other places, that's a massive down payment towards your house. And so that is much more life-changing. And so what I like with crypto and the higher risk stuff is the multiples are just higher. But you do have to diversify across multiple because any one of them might fail. Is Bitcoin going to fail from here? It still could. Like, people don't realize it could. It's just the chances are really low that it will. Somebody hasn't hacked it by now. It's probably not going to get hacked because lots of people are trying. There's lots of money involved. If they could do it and then siphon off the money quickly, they can make billions. So it's probably not going to get hacked. And even if it does get hacked, they technically could roll it back. So Bitcoin's one of the safest networks out there. But you're trading safety for low returns compared to other things you could be doing in crypto. If you already have a lot of money, no big deal. Bitcoin, great. You put 100 million into Bitcoin even at this price, and oh shoot, it went to 200. Cool, really big dollars.
Mucho dinero.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that Jeremy Padour goes in and talks about every now and then, and I pulled up the tweet saying, investments have ups and downs. Patience can yield big returns. $10,000 invested in Apple stock in 1982, 10 years later, you would have 5x your money. By 2002, 20 years later, you would have gone from $50,000 to $30,000. 2012 would have been 2.5 million, and 2022 would have been 20.8 million. Jeremy said that he bought $20,000 worth of Apple in 2000 and sold it for an $8,000 loss. And when he made that tweet in April of 2022, he said it would have been worth $14 million. And he says he's never going to do that again. That's why he hasn't sold a token, or at least, I mean, if you're in like a crap company that's not making any revenues, making horrible decisions, then yeah, by all means, cut losses. But if he thought, VeVe and OMI were doing the absolute wrong things, he would have sold. He's been pretty vocal about some certain things that he does want, but he thinks that they're doing at least a good enough job so that where he's holding, because again, he's never going to do that again. Yeah, Pink Panther keeping dry powder. Are you guys still keeping dry powder on the side, or is it just no? What about you, Doc?
Yes, everything. The couch cushions are great for extra pennies. Like, it's all at these prices. People think it's going to stick around like this. No, they're wrong. This is probably the cheapest it's going to be, barring some massive unexpected Black Swan event, which probably isn't going to happen. Like, prices aren't going to get even cheaper from here. You're just going to go the other direction. And it's going to go the other direction hard at some point, probably not that far away.
Yeah, I mean, I look to say, what are some of the catalysts that we could see happening, right? These trade wars get settled, and honestly, like, the U.S. comes out where the tariffs are a lot better than they were, and then you couple that with all of the like investments that it's like $5 trillion, right? That's going to be invested into the U.S. economy as these companies come in and build their businesses and things. Like that's a massive investment, and so with that, if the economy is doing better, then and we're not worried about inflation, we can lower interest rates. Right, so like all of these things are stacking on top of it, right? And then with lower interest rates, because creates higher liquidity. There's more loans or like just money that flows through the system, and then when there's that positive outlook, right, and things get bullish, that's when companies are doing well, people are spending more money, stocks going up, and it's this cycle, and that's where I could really start to see things really take off. You get some more clarification on crypto regulation, what companies can and can't do. They know how to play in the sandbox, and then they start putting more investments in and hiring more people. And yeah, it could go bananas from there. And so we'll see how long this tariff war happens. But I think once it dies down, as long as it doesn't go crazy or something happens, if it kind of, again, turns out more favorable, I think that is kind of the turning point of this cycle and like tokens and things in general. So we'll see.
What's up, Big Mac Blastoise? He's a big daCAT guy. What's up, Ronnie Lido? How's it going, everyone? Shout out to everyone here in the comments for supporting us. The 265 people here. We enjoy it. We enjoy doing this every week, and it would probably be a little boring if we were only here for like 20 people. But being here for 10 times that is pretty.
Whatever,
nice.
man. I'm here for you guys. I mean, I love that there's other people here, right? But like, I do this with you guys, like playing poker or something in a room. Like, I love this. I think it's fun to talk about these things. Sorry, I did not mean to diminish everyone who's on here. Absolutely appreciate your support. But I like the company that I'm with, so I appreciate it.
I sometimes get a little overexcited. In the DEVVE Telegram before, I'd seen that buy order on Binance for like $91 million worth of Bitcoin. I was like, God, if somebody does this via like the DEVVE referral program, you don't even need to know them. You just get like a $50,000 check. And I was like, I'm so excited. I haven't bathed in weeks. And I got kicked from the group again. So I have to like tone it down. I just get too excited. Like the first time I got kicked was when I like first got into the group, and like I had met with Tom, we'd done all these things, and DEVVE like DEVVE followed me on their X, and then I was like, hey guys, I see a lot of FUD, you're talking about the price going down. If you want to sell, like let me know. We'll do an OTC deal. And then because I had mentioned OTC, the admin's just like, nope, ban. I was like, so now I might have to do that again because I talked about whatever and not bathing and
yeah, they don't like you talking about price in there, which is like
it wasn't the price of DEVVE though. It was the price of just people trading and the trading fees. But yeah, I understand. I get a little overzealous. Do you guys ever get a little overzealous on things and regret it instantly?
Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah. It's happened. Not like that. Not where I say things like that. I haven't bathed in weeks. Different ways to be a little overzealous, but yeah, sure.
Cool beans. Did you guys have anything else? We've got about 90 minutes so far.
Look, we're in this amazing period where like it's not normal for this blows to the blow off top for things to drop down and get this cheap. And the patterns don't play out exactly the same on the 4-year cycles. They just somewhat rhyme. And so it's cool. Like this is an amazing time, and some people are going to take advantage and some people aren't. And you're going to learn a lot of lessons with this. What I hope is you're here for the long haul, because crypto has this 4-year cycle, and we'll probably have at least one more cycle. We'll see. But if you're trading this right and generally doing it now, I don't trade a lot. I kind of just buy when it's cheap and I hold till it goes crazy. If you're doing this right, the amount of money you can make is just life-changing. And that gets me really excited. I get really excited about people being able to make money, the kind of money that can retire them. And there aren't a lot of vehicles that can do that over a 4-year period, or really over like 2 cycles is really what you're looking for. Your first one that you're prepared for, you'll hopefully make some really good gains. And the second one is where you really crush it. And I'm excited for all of you that have been following along the last 4 or 5 years. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, listen, I love the VeVe community and the OMI homies and everyone who's here. Like it's been so fun to interact, and like the fact that you guys are still here says a lot about the tenacity that you have. And like Rain, I think that you're going to be handsomely rewarded for that. I don't know the time frame. I think within the next 12 months, honestly, I'd be hard pressed. Like I just can't see it taking longer than that, honestly, unless a black swan event happens and changes things. But for me, yeah, within the next 12 months, we should probably see something pretty substantial happen there. And but in the meantime, it's fun. It's fun to speculate. Like, and I loved what I also love is that every week we have more to talk about. Right, whether it's VeVe or DEVVE doing things. There's a lot of cool projects, and it's interesting. And I'll just kind of round off with this. So, like I've talked about the Genomes token, Genomes DAO, and like basically what they're doing with genetics. And I actually just got my DNA uploaded to Genomes, right? So they did that genetic sequencing and things. And so I've got some reports it's really interesting to see. And like, I love the innovation in this space. It's exciting to be in it. And I'm glad that you guys are here with us.
Now we have his DNA sequence and we can clone doctor stuff. That'd be so helpful to make a few of him.
Now we just need a healthy ovum, and we could have our own doctor of stuff.
Stop it. We're done. We're done with that. We're done with healthy ovum. Wow. Okay.
I don't have one, so I don't know. I gotta think about it. Anyway, we have a lot of fun here, and I like being around happy people. So there's two trains of thought where in Rocky 3, after Rocky lost the title to Clubber Lang, and you have the people on the news saying like, oh, can Rocky make a comeback at 34? Most experts doubt it. And then Paulie goes and says, don't listen to him, Rock, as in like block out the noise, ignore him. And that's what you can do on Twitter. You can block, you can on here, you can block and ignore. But then Carl Weathers plays Apollo Creed, says, no, do listen to him, Rock, because once this is all over, everyone's going to owe you a grave apology because that they were wrong. They doubted you. And people thought Tesla was, or Elon Musk, when he accepted Bitcoin for his Teslas, he's got like $1 billion worth. He hasn't sold any of it. And that, yeah, was not good for Q1. It might have cost him like, $100 million, give or take. But in Q2, Q3, Q4, by the end of it, as things start to go crazy, same thing with Michael Saylor. They called him crazy for buying Bitcoin at 30-something thousand and 20,000 and 14,000. He's got, I don't know how many billions of dollars worth. It's got like over 500,000 Bitcoin at an average price of 67,000, so close to 69. No one's laughing at him now. Obviously, Bitcoin comes first, alts come second. Just want to go in and throw that out there. But thank you all, everyone. We'll yeah, buying all the dips. Let's get the spread. Thank you guys for coming. We love you all. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye.